Strange, drained, and deranged it is for this week's astrology, I'm afraid. I'm getting this video out on Wednesday. Monday and Tuesday were sort of a wash astrologically, and I'm here to talk about what to expect leading up to so many planetary changes. And truly, I believe this last week of June is really the start of July, where we have some once-in-a-lifetime astrology coming on board and some really intense energy. A lot of feelings of unpredictability, along with hope, optimism, and a potential really vision of utopia for the future. I know all that sounds contradictory, and it is. I'm here to explain why, what to expect, describe a number of the transits that are all happening as we lead up to a Mercury retrograde, a Capricorn full moon, a Jupiter in Leo, and the much talked about Barbo basket. I believe that phrase is coined by S.J. Anderson, whose channel I really enjoy. Hi, I'm Amy Rose White. I'm an integrative psychotherapist. I'm also an astrologer, and I make these YouTube videos to offer you concrete healing tools that align with the astrological transits and energies in the sky. Be sure and see my free resources below and the link to book with me. So the strained and drained really comes from the transit that the sun is making today and tomorrow. And we're going to feel those effects into the weekend. And that is a trine to the North Node in Pisces and a square to Neptune in Aries. Both Piscean and Neptunian energy are very, man, I don't feel like doing much. I just want to rest. I just want to sleep. My mental processes are a little confused, and we're already in the shadow period for Mercury retrograde. So I know, being Mercury, my sun is ruled by Mercury, and I'm in a Mercury ruled profection year. So anything Mercury is doing has made me feel a little like, ooh, in terms of executive functioning, which I've been talking about lately on my channel. So we're like kind of a sense of fog, a dreaminess, a fatigue, a lethargy. Unless there are some really significant medical signs that you should get checked out, I wouldn't be too worried if you just don't feel very motivated on one hand. And that's about to change as we go on into the week, because there's also some very creative, harmonious aspects involving Venus where we could start to feel better, especially as we approach the weekend. But if you're a sensitive type, you're feeling this retrograde energy already. You're feeling the transition of a year of Jupiter in Cancer moving into Leo. And you're feeling this minor grand trine between Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune that's really been in orb for quite some time and will be for at least 2 to 3 more years as we approach the Barbo basket, which is made a basket by the handle of the opposition between Jupiter and Pluto. Now that is for next week's video, but I'm mentioning it because we're in it now. I'm going to describe in detail what I think that really means, who Andre Barbo was. I'm sure you've heard a lot about him already. But what is important to recognize is that we're in that minor grand trine basket energy, and we're going to be in it for a long time. So a lot of the planetary changes that are building up to this weekend, we're going to see Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week. We're feeling it now. We're feeling the endings of Mars in Taurus, where it's been in its stability. We're feeling the endings of an exalted Jupiter for a year in Cancer. We're feeling the newness of all of the energetic angles that newly transited Uranus into Gemini is now making to Pluto, including the upcoming trine, which is a big deal, and it's part of the basket. So as the sun is making those aspects on Wednesday and Thursday also finds us with Venus in Leo making a trine to Saturn in Aries. So there is some sort of lovely energy around, I would say, the focus on nurturance, on creating beauty, on expressing ourselves artistically, on truly showing up for ourselves in loving ways, while we also just don't overdo it. That Mars in Taurus is a little grumpy after this stint and is about to be able to act a lot faster and in a more comfortable way when it moves into Gemini. It's technically neutral there by dignity, but it really doesn't love being in Taurus because it's so slow as a fixed sign. So at least Mars moving into an air sign is going to be a little more free-flowing, and I think we're going to have, at the same time we're about to start a Mercury retrograde, a sense of little movement and at least a physical energy returning to our bodies, which is always a good thing. So I really invite you to take this week to, if you have corners that you can cut, tasks that you can not do, clients that you can move around, and just take some extra time to really rest, reflect, be with people, pets, in environments that you love, really soaking up in the Northern Hemisphere the energy of the sun and the solstice that just passed in the summer, where things kind of slow down and the focus becomes a little more on play. And Jupiter moving into Leo, the fact that we have Venus in Leo, Jupiter's about to be in Leo, the focus really on pleasure, fun, and enjoyment is solar oriented. It's sun oriented. It's doing, you might not be a sun worshiper or a sun lover like I am, but really allowing yourself to do things that bring you pleasure, that allow your light to shine, that step out into the limelight. We're also coming up on a full moon where the light of the sun and its fullness is reflected by the full moon. So it's a time where we're really asked to take extra good care of ourselves. And one reason, in addition to these aspects that are winding up the rest of this week going into the beginning of the craziness of July, and when I say craziness, what I'm really talking about is the Pluto-Jupiter opposition. That's the handle of that basket where we have all those lovely sextiles and trines that everyone's so optimistic about. I'm not necessarily quite as optimistic, but we have the Mars-Uranus conjunction right at that time, right before that, on the 4th of July, Independence Day in the United States. So we're feeling as intuitives, we're feeling as sensitive, empathic people that kind of, I'm just going to use the word danger. Like I personally kind of felt danger in the field. And I don't mean to create anxiety by that or mean like I feel like I'm in danger. But I've been noticing one of the ways that I think transits show up most potently is in driving patterns. And man, I have noticed some crap driving, like the most. I live in an area that's notorious for poor driving, but I'm telling you, I have seen some just really like impulsive, angry, like speeding, crazy, just like really bizarre, really bizarrely slow driving lately. And I think that's reflective of this sort of energetic buildup that a lot of sensitives have been sensing for quite some time. And it almost feels like there's sort of this a deep, prolonged process we're in while we're also kind of in a pressure cooker. And I think the opposition between Pluto and Jupiter that is part of that basket formation that will peak, roughly between the 15th and the 19th and be revisited next year around this time is, symbolic of that. Like we're feeling that tension and that, oppositions are like, someone's got to give, right? So it's really important to not get lost in mental loops or negative self-talk around confusion if we're feeling fuzzy, if we're feeling foggy, if we're feeling tired, if we're not feeling quite as alert or clear. So make time to rest, make time to create in ways that are fun for you. Maybe bring out some, oil pastels or some clay or something that you haven't typically worked with, or go out and be in the earth as Mars is finishing up this week in Taurus. Find a way that your body can move in the earth, around the earth, above the earth in ways that are really fulfilling and satisfying. And with the Venus-Saturn trine, still keep taking steps forward. So we don't want to get lost in the sauce as Mercury's about to station this weekend. We want to keep moving forward and keep taking steps. They don't have to be big, they can be little. They don't have to be, the best thing you've ever done. And they shouldn't be like your final launch of something that really matters to you because we're in the shadow and about to station retrograde, unless you absolutely have to. Sometimes timing is timing. So I really invite you to rest, reflect, create, and keep moving even though you're tired this week. And the last aspect that I really think is important is as Mars is finishing up at the energetic degree of that Taurus, of that earthy place it doesn't love, it's sextiling Jupiter conjunct the fixed star Algol. And you probably know about Algol. It's the head of the Medusa. It's the eye of the Medusa star. And it is likely to bring up places where we have blamed ourselves when we have been victimized, or where we've been in a relationship where that's happened to us. So if that comes up, I really encourage you to write about it and to use your voice, to use your creative. I keep coming that because of Leo. I think Leo really, in the ancient world, we don't conflate houses with signs. And there is a real creative element to the heart that I believe Leo represents. So stories about internalized sexism and misogyny are because that's the Medusa story, are likely to be in the news, in your family, in your relationships, and in yourself. There are ways in which, especially if you are a woman or female identified, we turn those narratives in on ourselves. We blame ourselves, we shame ourselves, and we punish ourselves. That's what happened to Medusa in that myth. So this is really important. If you notice those themes around the weekend that might be heightening as Mars is just finishing up before it goes into Gemini, that you step back, recognize your thinking, and make a different behavioral change, as if you are going to stand in your power, own the truth of your own reality, and take one kind step forward to take good care of yourself and honor what is true for you. So the meditation for this week is simply to reflect on what is my body needing and what is coming up for review as this retrograde gets closer. The mirror work for this transit is, I believe you and I trust you. And your mantra for the rest of this week is, I'm capable of preparing for whatever unfolds. And I mean emotionally, because there is a lot of intensity that's going to show up in July. There just is. I'm going to talk about why in my next couple of videos, and I'll see you on the flip side. Bye for now.